I think we're live.
Woo!
Woo!
David,
what are you doing?
If I did
I
it
see
right.
us on the screen.
And
I do.
Maybe.
Awesome.
They can
I'm
even
just
hear
going to
us.
ignore the fact
Yep,
that we're
we're good.
live, and welcome to the Stories We Tell, where a bunch of us D&D and other tabletop folks sit around and talk about dirty things, because what else are we going to do on a Saturday morning?
Not sleep.
Sleep?
Not sleep.
What is
Wasn't
that?
sleep an option?
Only early for a couple of us, all right? It's fine.
True. Very true.
true.
It's not that early here. But how about we start with some introductions? Go around and introduce yourselves.
Who wants to go first?
Everyone all at once.
If we go in the order of the overlay that no one paid, Shannon is first.
Okay,
Go, Shannon.
cool. Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I don't drink coffee. There's nothing in this, but I wanted to have my mug. So, yay. I'm Shannon. You can find me at sroby25 on all social media. Yeah. Yeah, I can't think this morning, and it's not even 7 o'clock where I am.
Early.
You can find me on Paradise RPG. That is my nerd home. I play there on Monday nights. I am there in chat on Thursday nights. We have monthly streams on Saturday nights, but that is on break until after our Jasper's Game Day weekend, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm very excited for that. But for today, I'm very excited to be chatting with these lovely people. I'm going to throw it to David, who's right there, down below.
Hello, everybody. My name is David. I do drink coffee, but I also don't have coffee in this mug.
Yeah.
This is a great Arcane Spectacles mug, by the way.
Hey.
That has Paradise stuff on it.
It's Kira.
I love this mug.
Why am I blurry?
Sorry.
Stop moving in ill focus.
Like I said, my name is David. I am the Dungeon Master for From Afar Podcast. You can find us at From Afar Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, and I think we have a website. I think it's probably FromAfarPodcast.com. You can find me at David Tilstra on Twitter and stuff. And yeah, just super excited to be here talking with these amazing folks. And who here actually is drinking coffee? I do want to know that. Nice, cool.
All right.
We can be friends.
We got a couple.
Yeah. And I'll pass it to Chris.
All right. So my name is Chris. I play Rimpy on Discount Dungeons. You can find us over at discount_D&D on Twitter. We have Patreon and Discord and all those fun things. We're still in the beginning stages of our second campaign, so it's a perfect time to jump in and get started. We try to keep our references to campaign 1 to a minimum, though you can always just go and listen to all of that content.
It's a great show.
Yeah,
It's a great show.
I do have coffee.
Yes.
DiscountDungeons.threadless.com. Chill out a little bit, you know.
Do it.
I always
And I'll-
support the shameless self-promos.
Yeah.
It
I will
is
pass it
Self-Promo
off.
Saturday.
I'll pass it off
Exactly.
to Brianna.
Alright, I'm Brianna. I somehow ended up the moderator of this panel. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully not down in flames. I am the DM for Aboard the Opal Star, an Esper Genesis 5e actual play podcast that's been going for about a year now. I also play Arome in Disciples of the Eight, another podcast that I produce. And I've got another Monster of the Week thing in progress that might be out in October. Depends on whenever I get done editing that. You can probably tell by the reactions who's in that. And yeah, yeah, you've only made things slightly problematic for the party. It's fine. Alright, and let's go with Megan.
Hi guys, I'm Megan or Nebby. I play Ecstasy on Discount Dungeons with Chris. We can drop. We have Patreon and merchandise. I am one of the artists that does all the merchandise, so support me.
Very good artist. Very good.
Just phenomenal.
Amazing.
You guys can find me at Nebulous. I'm not going to spell it out. Nebulous_Lalo at Twitter. That's way too early for me to be spelling
It's on
stuff.
the overlay. They can figure it out.
It is on the overlay. Thank goodness. I am drinking coffee, but I also have the Scry Society mug. I couldn't decide which mug, so I'm like double fisting coffee.
Oh, that's
That
so
is
good.
a move. So I feel you on the hard to spell Twitter handles. Why do you think I changed mine to Brianna Jeans?
Yes.
That way no one has to deal with my last name.
It's very tempting to change it, but I'm very excited to be awake this morning and talking with all these lovely people. And then I will pass it off to Nicola.
Good morning. I'm Nicola the Druid, and you can find me lots of places because somehow I wiggle my way everywhere. Most importantly, you can find me as the marketing coordinator for the Backwater Bastards at BW Bastards on Twitter, backwaterbastards.com for our website and merch. Cool merch like stickers that you can put on mugs or water bottles,
Yes.
which you can't see because my ring light's too bright. You can also find me as the producer for the audio drama The Sonova Project, which 70% of this chat is in.
Yes.
But yeah, anyways, those are the highlights. Oh, I'm doing a campaign with Good Better Quest, Good Better Side Quest. There you go.
And you guys are doing amazing. It's excellent.
It's almost
So
over,
and you're
I'm
doing
so
one
sad.
with me. And you're doing one with me.
Yes.
See if it ever actually ends.
So yeah, that's me.
And so, a good question to start this off is go around and talk about when and how did you get into TTRPGs?
Oh boy.
Classic question. I love it.
Great question.
So good. Well, I'll start us off. I don't know if he's in the chat right now. Probably not because it's early. But Sean, my DM from Paradise, is responsible for my lifelong obsession. We started playing in our home game about 3 years ago. And then a little bit after we started playing that, about a year after we started playing that, we're like, we need more D&D in our lives. So then we decided to start streaming, and thus Paradise was born, and the rest is history. So thank you, Sean.
Ooh, Sean.
Woo.
I can jump in here. Well, the first TTRPG I ever played was D&D 5e. Back, I remember, probably 4 or 5 years ago now. One night I came home and my little brother was sitting there with several books and a bunch of dice and a bunch of just random things, and he's like, I'm playing D&D, and I'm like, that looks like you're reading. That doesn't look like a game at all. So I didn't play with him that night, but then he convinced me to jump into it at one point, and I remember we played it and it was really fun. I think the first characters we made, I think, were completely wrong in every single way they could be. I think we took every single skill on the character sheet, and it was so wrong in every way. But it was really fun, and yeah, if you don't have anyone to guide you through making a character sheet the first time, it is very confusing.
Yeah, it's rough.
But a couple years after that, I moved to Los Angeles and I started listening to the Adventure Zone, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I love their story. I love the fact that it's 3 brothers and their dad playing games together. So I called up my brother and I was like, yo, brother, do you want to try to do this thing? And he was like, of course. And I was like, okay. And that's sort of what got us into it, is the fact that I was alone in Los Angeles and wanted to stay in touch with my little brother. So that is that. Yeah.
I'll go next. So, 10 years ago now, yikes, I was working at a convenience store, and my coworker, John, was always talking about his D&D games and stuff, and So eventually I was just like, hey, what's with this D&D game? How does that go? And he's like, all right. He's like, you're gonna want to. This was back in 3.5 as well, so not the easy to get into 5e that we all know and love today. So he's like, you're gonna want to go and read up on the rules for 3.5e, and so you can join in whenever you want. I was like, all right. So I spent the next like several days just like obsessively reading this huge rule book. And yeah, I started playing with those guys. I still play with them to this day, and yeah.
Wow, 10 years?
Yep.
You still play with That's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
I'll go next. I'm still kind of a baby to all this. Like prior to like almost 3 years ago, I was like sprinkled with D&D stuff. I played it like once as a kid, and then I think I did a college game which lasted like a session, and our schedules never matched up again. And I think that was 4E. So I wasn't super into the combat at the time. So I wasn't, no skin off my nose. But I did listen to the Adventure Zone, and I got that urge. I was like, oh man, I really want to play D&D again. I really want to get. It is. I cried a lot. Thanks, Adventure Zone.
I still cry a lot.
Yes.
It's terrible.
No shame in that. And Sean in Discount Dungeons was like, hey, there's this guy at my card shop that wants to do a D&D game. Do you want to come and try it out? And I was like, sure. You don't know him. I don't know him. Let's just go to his house. And that is how we met. I met Discount Chris. That's how I met everyone in Discount Dungeons. And, it kind of evolved from there. So almost 3 years, and it's been fantastic.
I was there.
Question.
Yes.
I thought you knew the whole Discount crew before you guys started Discount.
No. I mean, we played
Patched.
we played a Waterdeep module. And then once we finished that was about like
Dragon Heist.
Dragon Heist, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
that was like what, 6 months? I think we played that.
It was about 6 months we played that.
Yeah. And then we were like, hey, do you want to do an actual play podcast? And we're like, why? Let's do it. Let's just fucking roll.
That is so cool. For some reason I thought you guys were all like.
Oh no! The
friends.
story about
That's
how
really
we
cool.
all met is a very interesting story.
But it still blows my mind that like Discount Chris didn't know any of us. Saw it in the card shop. Like that was like, hey, someoe's playing D&D, and he's like, all right, I'll go to his house.
A great story.
Yep. Poster child for what not to do.
Hey, you say that like it didn't end very well.
It did, but I
was
the
nervous.
odds. Don't
it
do
was
that.
the only girl there. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh,
But
no.
it was because I'm very good friends with Sean. I've known him for a while. So
Okay.
Yeah, Megan
Very
knew
cool.
Sean knew Chris knew Patch.
Yep.
I knew nobody.
Yep.
That is wild. That's really cool.
And then obviously
cool.
Meg is Chris's wife, so obviously.
And Vero is my fiance, and I brought Vero into the group when he moved over from Las Vegas. So
Yeah, so it's just this daisy chain of random people that only know one other person that just got together one day.
Drawn into
But-
D&D.
Hey, that's how Paradise formed too. Like
Yeah.
I
Oh, hey,
didn't
there
know
you go.
half of the people in there. I knew Alex and Sean, and that was it. They all brought
Really?
everybody else in.
nice.
You
Dang.
all right over there, Nicola?
Yeah, so I don't think anybody noticed my camera was frozen, and so I kept having to reconnect and connect, and I'm like, is
It
it
froze on-
working?
I
saw
noticed,
it.
and it's like I'm just gonna keep
Face.
talking, and it will be fine. It will
It'll
be
be
fine.
fine. And now it's working just in time for Hank to join in. Oh, but
Hello,
my
Hank.
frame rate is
Hello, Hank.
blocking.
Oh, and I can't see you. You're dancing squares on my end, but
Oh no,
So let's
well,
hear
it's
your
working
story
on the
of how you
stream,
got
so that's
into
all that
this.
matters.
that's the important part. So, how did you get into tabletop games?
Yeah, my turn. Okay, I am also an Adventure Zone recruit. I
Nice.
had and mine is a little bit different. So I had gotten and that didn't last very long. Okay.
Thought my internet was going to be doing that today. Knocking on wood.
So yeah, I had gotten a promotion at work, and I was struggling with it because I was learning more about like my mental health and my ADHD, and sitting alone in a cubicle I was losing it. So I asked my friend, give me a podcast. I want to try podcast, see what happens. And so my friend told me the Adventure Zone, and I started listening, and I was like, this is the best thing in the world. So then that same friend, for my birthday a couple months later, we went to an event that one of our local like consignment bookstores does. And it was called Dungeons and Dragons and Drinks. And so it was playing D&D at a bar.
Nice.
And I was like,
Nice.
this is
Yes.
nice.
That's awesome.
And we went with one of those. Nope, there goes my camera again.
Oh no.
Oh no, we can still hear you.
That's
Yep, we
good.
can.
So we went, I played, and I don't remember what I played. It was an Aarakocra. We did that amnesia thing where the DM handed us blank character sheets. And
Oh,
as
cool.
we were
Oh, that's
going,
cool.
we had to like figure out what we were doing.
That's really cool.
And it was so much fun. And then after my camera's going to hate me today.
Oh no.
After that, I listened to the Adventure Zone, and then the very next podcast was Cheaper by the Dungeon, and the very next podcast was From Afar.
Amazing.
And so then
Beautiful.
like, I started
Oh,
reaching
wow.
out and talking to people on Twitter, and then that was it. That was history.
Amazing.
Wow.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna be quiet while I play with the cameras because I can't get mine to stay on.
I want to play D&D at a bar. That sounds like fun.
It's
That's
like a
so
real
exciting.
life, like
Yeah.
it's like a real life like D&D group meeting at a tavern and starting their
Yeah.
adventure. I kind
Yes.
of like that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, enough. Thank you.
Oh no.
Oh yes,
Much
yes.
more recently.
He joined for campaign 2. Very excited to have him.
It's all fun.
He is
I actually
fantastic.
got into it through I was a bridesmaid at a friend's wedding, so like I'd already been like vaguely aware of it, but I got invited during like the process of like getting ready for the wedding to join their campaign. So I got a crash course dragged right into the end of a campaign, and then it kind of petered out after that, but then I got invited to a couple of other games. So it's been about 3 years, and about 2 years ago, I started doing my character interview podcast, Tales of Adventure, which I put on a definite hiatus. I feel like I've interviewed everyone here but Nicola and David. But I've interviewed people from both of your shows. And I thought
You did not interview me,
sorry.
but that's okay.
I was interviewed. I was
Me
a discounter.
too.
Yay!
Yeah, and then over a year ago, like, my friends and I had been talking about doing one. And so COVID happened. I decided, I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to just do it. So I found the Esper Genesis playbook. I got the 2 friends I had been talking to. I kidnapped another friend who he actually runs one of the games that I'm in. And I was like, hey, do you want to do this? So my first time ever DMing was episode 1 of Aboard the Opal Star.
Like, are you
Oh,
serious?
wow.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Jumping right
If
into
you
it.
ever listened
it.
and felt like I didn't know what I was doing, it's because I didn't know what I was doing.
don't worry, that never goes
Well,
away.
Well,
Right?
you fooled us all because it was.
I mean,
it was a
I
great
started
episode.
actually reading the book a couple months later, so
Oh my goodness.
and it's just exploded since then. And now I'm here and I'm doing like 3 charity events this month, and it just kind of takes over.
Yep.
So
Truly
do that.
does.
I don't know
Truly
if I could actually do any sort of GM or DMing because I have such high anxiety, and I recognize that the work you guys put into that behind the scenes and how much you pull out, from your ass about and just making it. But you guys make it work because I've seen or heard most of your play styles, and it's good. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'd be like, I don't know. Just
You did it
fucking
once and
hit
it took
something.
me 2 months to recover. I was so tired.
I feel that, Shannon. I feel that. High anxiety.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a weekend where I did a Monster of the Week. I had my home game that night, and then the next day I did a Aboard the Opal. I don't know why my brain is like this, but it's just like this. But so since we've kind of already touched on the actual play, I might kind of jump into that a bit since we are all part of an actual play. And,
Do it.
what
I
is
think you
something
could probably do a
y'all-
great job, Meg, of being a DM/GM. by the way. I think you would do wonderfully at it.
Only if Chris like edits and makes me sound coherent and intelligent, and not me going.
What do you mean?
Magic
What do you mean?
of
The
editing.
final product is definitely what we said at the time right off the bat. There's definitely no what
Yeah,
am I doing?
Or in the first
None of that. No.
that we need t-shirts that say DMs for editors who make us sound competent.
Yes.
Just
I
when
would
that
buy
editor
that shit.
is yourself.
Amazing.
What are some things you think most people don't realize about being in an actual play?
Oh,
How much work is behind it?
yeah, I think that's
There's
a
a
good one.
lot.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Just from and I can't speak for when you're live streaming, because Discount Dungeons is all recorded as well, and FAP is as well. It's yeah, thank God, because there's just a lot of like stumbling and fumbling. You know, it's definitely different than like playing a typical tabletop one, because I've noticed that, like, you know, if it's just a home game, there's no recording devices, you could kind of go off the rails and explore and spend like 45 minutes talking to an NPC that actually is not a part of anything. Whereas, like, you want to keep in mind, if you're recording for episodes, you want to give people enjoyable content. And that's been a learning experience for us with Discount Dungeons. I think back to the copy episode we did in campaign 1, we spent like a whole fucking episode.
Oh, that was good, though.
Just getting caught. It was good. But then we were like, we should probably find a better balance to have those silly gags and also keep the story moving as well. There's also the frustrating thing with we recently had to re-record an episode because something went wrong with our audio, and like you could only hear certain parts, and that was, I didn't enjoy that. Redoing an episode. There were some good things that we added, but then there was also these one-liners that were natural, and you couldn't replicate it. You couldn't say the same. It's just not the same feel. So,
we
that
lost some audio equipment. I'm still pretty sad about it.
Yeah,
we've lost some episodes in Paradise as well, and their live stream, and I have no idea where they are, and they're pretty mad about it. 2 years later, almost 2 years later, it's fine. Still fine.
Still okay with this.
But I can speak to the live actual play side. I agree. Luna said you have to be much more aware of the dead air, which is true. I have refused to watch our very first episode because just knowing where we are now, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing back then, almost 2 years ago. But yeah, you have to be aware of the dead air, and you like need to kind of keep things moving, but at the same time you need to have like the balance of those organic character moments and keeping the story moving. So it took us a little bit to find that flow, but once we found it, like we hit it, and we talk behind the scenes, like, okay, this is what we want to accomplish in today's session, just so we have like a general roadmap of what we want to do, but we don't like plan everything out because we want it to be natural. And you know, the best moments are when we go completely just in a hard left turn, and just that was the right hard left turn into, you know, something that wasn't expected to happen. Like, there was a time when Sean had planned this entire town, and we were supposed to spend a week there, and I made us get to the main part in a day. So he had to throw out all of the prep work that he had done and improvise that day. And so I feel a little bad about that, but those are some of my favorite episodes. So
some parties just have this magical ability to go the exact path they need to go to get to where they're going. Like my group of Disciples of the Eight, every time he just has to throw out all of his dungeons because we know exactly where to go to get to where we're going, and it's why we have no magic items and we're level 8.
That you said something interesting there, Shannon. I think any sort of like pre-recorded or live D&D TTRPG stream or podcast that I think specifically DMs sort of need to get ready for, or maybe might not be prepared for, is the moments like that, because where your party's just like, oh, by the way, I'm gonna go do this opposite thing that you didn't want me to do. Like, and I know that's just part of
Deal with it.
part of like a D&D game or TTRPG game, but like when you're live and they're like, by the way, I know that's the bad guy and I'm gonna go kill him now. It's like, oh, okay. Like, let me just try to figure this out on the fly as we just experience this together. And I think that, like, if you are interested in doing some sort of live TTRPG thing as a DM or GM, like, if you're able to just sort of sit back in those moments and let the story unfold, you can get some really, really cool organic moments. Because, like, I know for myself, I definitely have no railroad ties, no plans for the story. No, I'm just kidding. I have definitely like points where like trying to get the From Afar boys to, but like if you're live, there's at a moment's notice, you just got to be like, okay, we have to roll with these punches and we have to go like on to something else, and it's very invigorating, but it's also very terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, no, when you're sitting there like, how do I get you to be this person and not kill him automatically?
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be kind of a sus situation, but person's really important and I need you to not kill them. Well, this is stuff that's not going to come out for a while on the board the will start, because I've started editing session 14 and we're about to record session 24.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm very behind. Because it's just me.
Nothing wrong with that.
I've definitely, like, they're in a situation where, like, I have had to rewrite who the person behind the code name is, because I'm like, yeah, I've accidentally set up this person so they're more inclined to shoot first, ask questions later. So I think I'm just gonna go and tweak, and so you're now going by this code name who they haven't heard of yet. Write this character's backstory so they don't get murdered. It's fine. It's yeah.
I just wanted to bring up, like, besides the actual gameplay itself, you know, keeping things flowing and keeping the content going, all the other work that goes on behind the scenes, you know, creating a website, Patreon, Discord, merch, like all like
socials.
We've spent hours and hours and hours discussing that kind of stuff and getting that set up and going, and it's just like that's on top of, you know, editing or live streaming, you know, whatever the show is.
Well, I think even like, oh, sorry, go for it.
Oh, see, that's why you need a druid. Because I'm being quiet because I have so little actual play experience except for like the Good Better side quest and the one shots I've been doing with Brianna. But that's kind of like, I don't run the Backwater Bastard social because Taylor does such an amazing job. But all of that other administrative stuff, that's kind of what I do, and it takes a long time. And that's something that I guess people don't really think about when they're like doing getting up to do an actual play. Is you have websites, you have to do your all that background stuff. You have to do, if you want to do advertising, if you want to do ad swaps, all that stuff. It takes a long time.
I do want to say, Nicola, that you were a godsend to the Sonova project, and you've done amazing work behind the scenes on that. So, thank you.
And that project hasn't even it's still working, but like, you know, because, and that's the other thing, I think, kind of offshooting a little bit, but like, I've definitely seen projects where people are like, oh, I'm really excited about this, I want to do it, and it's super easy to set up a Twitter page. And then they get into the nitty gritty of actually doing it, and it falls flat, unfortunately, because it's like, there's a lot of writing, and, you know, are you bringing in people to play? Are they, is it volunteer work? Is it paid? Which is a huge, like, that will definitely change your dynamics, you know, on, you know, who you get, your deadlines, and just editing as, you know, as a whole. So I don't want to discourage people at all, but it's definitely like, it is a lot of work, and the social media side is very, honestly, I find it overwhelming because it's just, you know, there's so many different components, and it's like trying to keep on top of Twitter, and then you managing a Patreon. It is a lot. And one thing I wanted to add, like in regards to like recording or live streaming, I've definitely come to appreciate and notice when talking over people. Definitely more like if it's
yeah.
a group game night or you're playing board games, you can laugh and just talk over and yell at each other. But when you're doing any sort of like audio medium, you have to be aware of I'm talking or someone else is talking. I need to wait for a pause and try not to overtalk or have behind the scene conversations because the mic picks up everything. Chris.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in campaign 1 until we kind of figured it out.
The best was Chris was like, "Hey, DM Chris, can you take that clock off the wall because when I'm editing, I can hear it in the." He's like,
Oh my god.
Oh no.
He's like, you can't. But it's one of those things. Like if you're listening to the podcast, you can barely notice it. But if you are just sitting there meticulously editing a podcast, you can hear the clock ticking. Which
A lot of
we
dumb
have
stuff
a-
like that.
a lot of dumb stuff like that. Or I got banned from using a live like sketchbook and pencil during our recording sessions because the scratching of the pencil.
Oh no.
I use an iPad instead. It's great. I'm allowed to draw at the table.
And Luna just called David out for ice chewing.
Oh my gosh. Is Goodval even awake yet? I don't know. He's probably chewing ice somewhere. Man,
Oh my god.
no, that's a great point. Like just like mic etiquette and just like understanding
Yeah.
like even if you're not live, if you're recording, you're live, and like just like knowing like not talking over people, like kind of getting somewhat close to the mic, not chewing goddamn ice for hours on end.
Make
Not
sure
playing
your
with your dice.
mic
Not playing with your dice. Yeah.
pointed at your face.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And
And
if
that's
you
an
have to
interesting-
sneeze, don't sneeze into the microphone.
Oh God.
Yeah, these pop filters are not sneeze catchers.
No.
They,
I have a player, she just uses like iPhone headphones and she'll sneeze into her mic.
oh no.
Oh no.
It's really funny. I'm like, it's not hard to edit out, but it makes me laugh every time.
I applaud. Editors need so much praise because I tried handed editing. I recorded a session of my home game just to have audio to play with. Can't do it. And for Backwater Bastards, Daniel does our editing, and he takes it literally a full work week. Like there's so much that goes into editing, and he does. I'm gonna use my F-bomb for the day. It's fucking fantastic.
Yay.
Inappropriate use. Yes.
Because the sci-fi elements of our current Orbital Refuse campaign just really bring it all together. But editors need more credit.
Yes.
Agreed.
They are the behind the scenes gods, honestly. Like Chris and Vero, Chris does the editing and Vero adds the sound cues. Like I don't know like how to do any of that shit. And if Chris was like, I don't want to do this anymore, I'd be like, I hope you like raw sounds, because here it is, everyone. Here's the episode, uncut.
I got that break between the two campaigns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
it's a lot. I mean, I've
Thank
gotten
you.
my process down pretty quick. It only takes me for a 2-hour recording. Probably takes me about 4 hours to edit, but that's after a lot of refinement. It
Yeah.
took me 8+ hours to edit an episode.
Teach me your ways.
Yeah.
Master of mine.
Right?
Have a lot of macros. A lot of macros.
There you go. There you go.
I have learned. I had taught myself video editing to take the Sonova Project audio and put it onto video, and even just video editing. I'm like, this is so much like. But then I get to sit there and listen to how amazing our audio editor is. Shout out to Dee.
What up?
Because the audio just sounds so good and our music is just amazing.
It's so good.
But
It is
even
coming
video
together really
editing,
well.
where I don't have to mess with all those levels, I just have to. It's a lot.
You got to make sure all the cuts get covered so you don't have the weird uncanny valley stuff going in. No, it's as someone who is producing 3 and freelance editing for a 4th. Yeah,
Nice.
but not gonna like. Usually, I feel like when you donate to a Patreon, a lot of that ends up going to the editors.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot.
It really is.
So Megan, about that Patreon money.
Well, listen, like, I mean, like, we want to get better, like, recording equipment.
Yeah,
and
all
stuff
that money's
like
going
for
towards
big-
better audio equipment for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the
But-
first thing we upgraded for Paradise too was the audio stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
the thing that we all should probably say is like, it's hard, but it's like 100% worth it, because I've never been so happy as I have been with the actual play community and
Same.
getting to do all this stuff. Like,
Agreed.
it is 100% worth it.
Life changing.
Yeah. No better feeling than putting in all that effort and then see people like enjoy your content.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
It's
Like when we were switching from campaign 1 to campaign 2, there was like, are we going to do a campaign 2? How are we going to, like, change some things around? And I was like, I need to continue this. Like, I've been doing this for like a year now. This has become an enjoyable like hobby and like big side project. I don't actually know how to function as an artist without it now.
Right?
Yep.
That got me through the pandemic. Like,
Yeah.
Right? It
Yeah.
just, and now that the world is opening up, I'm like, I don't want to go. I want to keep
I don't
want to
go. Yeah.
Right.
I have podcasts to do now.
It's helped me grow as a performer too. Like I've always loved performing, but never really had the confidence to do it. So, just being a part of the TTRPG community has, boosted my confidence and given me that you got this or you're good at this that I needed. And now I can't imagine life without it.
Same. Ditto. It's wonderful. It's super wonderful. If you all want to do it, it's a lot of work. You should absolutely do it though, because
It's not worth it.
we need more D&D content in this world.
Absolutely.
Also, just be patient.
Just
Be
tabletop
patient. You
games
don't-
in general. There are a lot of fun systems out there as well that are just so good to use for actual plays. Like, I'm having so much fun with this Monster of the Week. It's been
Really like
blast.
the mechanics of Monster of the Week. It's a lot of fun. Also having fun with the game, but I love the mechanics.
I guess that segues into another question I enjoy asking. How have TTRPGs both changed the way you see yourself and changed the way you see the people around you?
Love this question. I love it so much. So, buckle up, buttercups. So,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
It is no secret that I am an anxious, depressed mess. I've been like that for a very long time.
Preach it, girl. Preach it.
I never had yes, mental health. I never had the labels until about 5 years ago, and for me the labels are really comforting because it gives a name to the thing, and if I know what it is, I can work on it. So to me, I love the labels. So 5 years ago was extremely rough. Actually no, it was 6 years ago now, because I was a first year teacher. I had just moved down to the DC area. There's a lot of change happening, and I was undiagnosed anxious. And everything just like exploded, and it was so rough for like a long time, but I'm really glad that happened, because now I have the perspective. And as soon as I joined the TTRPG community about almost 2 years ago, like it has changed the way that I look at myself. Like I remember so distinctly like looking at myself in the mirror and being like, you can't do this. And it was just so powerful that like I did that. And now like I don't feel the need to do that, because I've gotten so much love and so much support. And like I am a completely different person than I was like even 3 years ago. Like I have these coping mechanisms that I can use. I have these amazing friends that I know I can talk to if I need to process something. And it's life changing, and I love you all, and I'm going to cry now. So yeah.
But also cry because
Those tears out. Yeah, cry. Let
Yeah.
those feelings out.
Dang, that's a. I mean, how do you follow that?
Yeah, that's all. How do you follow that up?
Sorry. Didn't mean to make it so heavy, but
That was great.
I feel.
I'll follow, just because it's pretty. I'm pretty much going to say the same thing and then credit Shannon in the post. Because it's so. Just joining the TTRPG community and playing TTRPGs has really helped with being more like before I did this, before I went online, I did a lot of local things with gaming groups, but I was always a mental health advocate because I've literally been dealing with it my whole life. I've anxiety, depression, ADHD, OCD, PTSD, the whole 9 yards. But
The whole alphabet.
yeah, I have the whole alphabet. And just getting to like have the community and everybody so just like comforting, comfortable. What?
Nice.
Either one. But the just being able to talk about it and be like, by the way, I'm having a bad brain day, and then just having all these people that'll talk to you, or when I'm like, I don't think I'm doing a very good job. I need some validation, please. And then everybody, everybody's
out of here.
there, and I'm like,
Exactly.
yes. But then that me being open can help other people, and it's just very fulfilling. And
Yes.
it's also
Yes.
like it's made me a little bit more open with my non-nerd friends, and just being able to like set boundaries. Like you set boundaries at the table. Like now I know, and at work I can set boundaries that I didn't really think that I was comfortable doing because I have more confidence, especially from role playing.
Yep.
Someone needs to cry on stream. Luna said $10 dono if someone cries.
Give me a second. I will put some sad music on. Give me a second. I can do it. I can do it.
$10.
I have an entire playlist that's called Cry on Cue. So
Wow.
That's
I
amazing.
love that.
that was like
too bad my friend Casey's not on here. I'm really good at accidentally making her cry during recordings. It's happened like 3 different times. I'm like, I'm not even trying. So
Just
it
let me
happens
listen.
when you have when your method actor has a traumatized character.
Right?
Oh,
I'll
Nick
just go
says
back and
think
watch
about the
Scarlet
beginning
dying
of
again.
Oh.
There we go.
We're gonna get about to get
Thanks,
$50, Nick, or $60. What the heck?
Honestly, the one thing that I bawled my eyes for was Magnus's story at the end of the Adventure Zone. I will not, no spoilers, but I like sat there. I was at work doing an overnight shift, taking care of my veterinary animal patients, and I went to my coworker. I'm like, I need to go in the bathroom for a minute, and I like sat on the floor and I cried. I was like, this is so good.
I was driving a truck with like a box truck with film gear in it, like from Pasadena down to like Long Beach, and I was finishing the Adventure Zone, and like the whole part, the whole final thing with like Griffin's just like weaving the story, and the music is coming in, and like people from the past are coming in, and like people are like finally becoming like leaders and heroes, and I was just like, I'm like crying. I get to set, and like the director's like, "Are you alright?" I'm like, "It's fine." My imaginary friends just did some really cool things.
My coworkers just learned.
Back on track.
Sorry.
We'll get to emotional moments later. I promise that is a question, but I want to hear from the rest of you how it's changed the way you see yourself and see the people around you.
Yeah, I'll go next. So like I said, I've been playing RPGs for like 10 years now. So it was, for me, it wasn't so much the like anxiety and stuff like that. I was 10 years ago, I was like very introverted. I didn't want to hang out with people. I just wanted to, be in my house and play video games and stuff. So, it took a long time, but, over years and years and years, role playing different characters and just like flexing that, that social muscle in your brain. I am very much an extrovert now. I love hanging out with people. I love, playing D&D with people. I'm here. I'm like, oh, this is great. Yeah. So like, it basically changed my entire like personality socially, like complete 180, just from, playing with different people, playing different characters, different stories, all that kind of stuff.
That's amazing. At the risk of sounding redundant, the same of what everyone else just said, but on like a more personal level, just like I guess this might be more like content creation, maybe not necessarily TTRPGs, but like just like
It's related.
so just like the the idea of like a couple years ago, this story didn't exist, and now we're telling the story and people are responding to it, and it's been able to keep me in touch with 3 of my best friends, and we've just had a really good time doing it. It just, that self-confidence of seeing, like, learning that, like, oh, like, at the beginning of this journey, it's like, oh, this looks like not even an insurmountable mountain, because it's like we didn't even know it was a mountain at the time. It was just like, we don't even know what we're doing. We're standing here, we want to do this, and we have no idea what it's about to happen. And then being here at this point, like, looking back, being like, oh, wow, we were so wrong in so many ways, but we've learned so much, and we're growing, and every time we're trying to get better. And now it's not just like, oh, we have to edit. It's like, oh, dang, we get to edit because there's this moment coming out that we're so excited for people to hear, or like there's a huge character moment coming up. It's like just like listening basically to like episode 1 of From Afar, and just like the quaveriness in our voices, like, what are we doing? To like now it's like just knowing there's like purpose, like basically giving purpose to life and giving direction, and just like basically that huge like self-confidence adrenaline shot, like that's probably the way it's changed me personally. And now I just see everyone else in the world as NPCs, so
Yes.
that's how it's affected everyone else. No, it's it just basically just like a giant self-confidence boost, and I think that's really one of the powers of role-playing games and TTRPGs is it just gives you an excuse to be confident, and then in turn that makes you confident in real life. And I think that's a really cool like side effect of imagining with your friends. So that's it from me.
Robbie's gonna make me cry in the chat.
No,
Yes.
Robbie!
Remind me. Literally, like,
Reminds
thinking
me.
about this, I didn't know you people two or 3 years
Yes.
ago, and now, like, I feel like I've known you for years, you know, and like that's
Well,
just
we have.
cool.
literally cannot imagine life without like any of you all here, and anyone in the chat, and anyone on the Twitters and stuff. It's just like it is so, yeah, it's so weird. It's like I've never really met any of you in real life, or in
I
like
know.
physically, but it's like
Yeah.
We should
Dang.
fix that.
we should
Yes.
we should
Really
have
good.
Meetup Con 2021 or
Hell yeah.
whatever year we're at right now. I don't even know.
I'm still campaigning for BangaCon. Okay, we need a Bangaman's convention. BangaCon.
I would love that where we actually bowl.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
I
man,
love
that'll be greght. Megan, what's your
Oh,
story?
yeah. So for me, it's definitely, to bounce off a couple other things, mental health as well. About 3 years ago, I was doing okay. The big thing was I had just bought a house, and I had just moved out from my parents, and that was like, and I have my high school peeps that I still talk to, and I love them very dearly, but they're all like, some of them are across the country now, and it's like, that has definitely changed our hanging out dynamic. And so getting into D&D and having like a weekly, hangout session is fantastic. And I am very much an introverted person. So like a week hangout is good, and it lets me recharge my social batteries, and then I can go back and, back to my little cave of art where I scribble on the wall and stuff, but I need that. I absolutely need that balance as well. And this community has been phenomenal for me, like, as an artist. I definitely noticed when I started, even like when we were first playing Dragon Heist campaign, I would just start sitting there and doodling, and then it just became like more rampant, like with my art. And I compiled all the drawings that I did for campaign 1 into an art book. And even some of the peeps in Discount Dungeons, they're like, "You drew all of this?" And I'm like, "I did." It's like a year and
It's
some
over
drawings.
50 pages.
Yeah, of just like
Amazing.
sketches I just
What a
slammed
great
together.
keepsake.
Yes.
That is so cool.
It's amazing.
Join our Patreon and you can get it too.
Ah.
Part of me's thought about like selling it, outside of Patreon.
More
but-
of you should think about that.
I should. I'll bring that to the table another time. But this community has been fantastic for my art. I'm very grateful to share it with people, and just meeting other artists. I think of Nox, Batty, and God, Pinky
Yeah,
Demon.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Pink
yeah.
Yes.
Pinky
Yeah.
Bones. Okay, God. Oh, I'm so sorry, Pinky Bones. I was like Pinky Demons. I don't.
That's a good one though. Pinky Demons. That's cool.
Pinky Demons.
Yeah.
Pinky Bones. I've been introduced to their art and so many other like fantastic artists. So like this
AKA
community
Pink
has
Dragon.
been.
Yeah.
Pink Dragon. That's what it was. I was
Spelled with a Y.
Demons, dragons.
Y-N-K.
Yes.
Pink Dragon.
Pink Dragon.
Yeah, they did my Twitter banner if you want to go check out some of their work,
Yes.
because I've haven't taken it down since I put it up, and I probably never will because I love it so much.
They
It's
did my
fantastic
Twitter banner
work.
too, actually.
Hey.
She did ours as well. I think it's
Hey.
Just fantastic work.
Maybe she did. I don't remember. I'm looking at what my Twitter banner is because I don't remember anymore.
I'm
But
pretty
yes.
sure
Yes,
mine is
she did
the
my
art I
Twitter
got
banner
of my.
Sorry, what was that, Brianna Jean?
As I say, I'm pretty sure my Twitter banner, both for my Twitter and the pseudonym social Twitter, is the art I commissioned from my friend Megan. She's from Riot in the Dungeon. I think she changed her Twitter handle. I don't remember what it is now. But I got my player's character art for Christmas, and it came out
Amazing.
so well. So well, especially one of my players, his character Farida has these little itty bitty drones that are about the size of quarters called Heads and Tails. They're so cute.
Love it.
So good. Oh my gosh. So much
It's very
creativity out
satisfying.
there.
To bring a D&D character to life and then seeing those like you know, I like seeing people's reactions being like, oh my god, you know, like you did it. And I'm like, that is a very, very satisfying feeling to bring like an audio medium into a visual one.
Yeah, I was just telling the group right before we got on that Meg brought a very incredible moment for Scarlet to life that David and Patch and Nick had commissioned for my birthday. And it was just one of my favorite moments ever. And now I have it immortalized forever. And I love it. It was my phone background for a little while, and I'm going to put it back eventually just because
Yes.
I can't stop looking at it. It's
It's beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Megan. This Discount Dungeons. It was the first group I was a part of that ever had like anyone that was good at drawing, or at least one that would at least commit to actually doing drawings.
Right.
So like having that. So in 10 years, the first time I've had like art
not
of
again.
Wow.
like anything in D&D. So it's just like I'll grab it in a second. But like Megan did like character portraits for all of our characters in our Dragon Heist campaign and gave it to all of us, and I was just like. Because that was like the first time I've ever like gotten anything like that. I'm like, oh my god, it's my character. This is perfect. Oh my god.
It was like a thank you to be like, thank you guys for like, this has been my first big D&D campaign and it's been fantastic. So yeah.
I'm gonna grab it real quick.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Ah,
I think you did that on purpose.
I'm Chris now. I'm you now.
Dang it!
He'll come back.
I'm still me.
All right, I'm back.
Am I still me?
Everyone's still themselves.
Everybody's
I
still
didn't realize I was
Is it
gonna change
because-
the character order. I didn't realize I was gonna change the portrait order. That's my bad.
It's okay because mine's been
Oh, it
changing.
switched.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. I love
Hadron
it.
Wave Seeker.
Love
That
it.
is amazing.
That's a great name too.
For
Yeah, it
me, like,
There you
I've
go.
always
Hi.
loved telling stories, but it's like I never thought my storytelling would actually go anywhere. I felt like it would always just be something I would do on the side, but no one would ever see it. And then I got slowly absorbed into the tabletop game community. And it's just been amazing. It's made me more confident because stories have always been how I deal with things. I just escape into them because life can be a lot sometimes. It's how I make sense of and process things. So just being able to live through some of the other stories and also just being able to tell things with Aboard the Opal Star has been amazing because it's helped me like myself more in a way. And just knowing that there are people out there who enjoy and like it's a nice escape for them, and the fact that people that there's one person who's particularly become emotionally attached to Anima, which I'm like, yeah, I apologize, but Casey did give me control over Anima's backstory, which is probably a questionable decision. It just it means a lot, and it's also like it's something I can do. can do this, I am doing this, and it's mine.
A lot of people go through the same things as we do, which was also really, really helpful when I first got into the community, and just like being open about mental health things. It was just like to see all of the people that go through the same things, very comforting.
Yeah, because I got anxiety. It's not actually diagnosed, but I definitely do have anxiety.
Yep.
I thought it was just financial, but I'm like, I've got a job, I don't have to worry about that. And it still likes to sneak up on me with the, like, you're not doing enough, you're not good enough. But I'm like, I can look at these, like, all of the things I do, and I'm like, okay, this is enough, you can go shut up. I'm gonna get back to editing this thing so I can release it in October.
Yes.
Speaking of anxiety, Penelope also has anxiety. That's why she's
Penelope!
You can barely see her because she's
adorable.
She has anxiety also, and
Your shirt keeps moving in strange cat patterns. I don't understand.
my little void baby is
My void baby.
My void child is kicked out of the room. You might hear her occasionally screaming at the door to be let in, but I do not, because she will crawl all over the desk and then me.
Just think of if someone had heard that sentence or that section you just said, Meg. I kicked my void baby out. You might hear her screaming at the door, and if she gets in, she's going to crawl on the desk. If they didn't know that you were talking about a cat, like, what the hell?
If anyone has
It's
a black cat,
table
they
talking
understand.
stream. What do you expect?
It's true.
Black cats are just void cryptids.
no. Here we go. There we go.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there it
What are
is.
you doing?
That's what.
Hello, Penelope.
Megan,
Oh,
was
she's
that a
so-
Sanderson reference? With the cryptics?
Actually, not on purpose. That is just what my friend Aubrey and we both have black cats. We're like, oh, void cryptids.
Okay.
Just speak the words.
I love the Sanderson sisters so much.
I need to get into this, but I'm still distracted by Lee Bardigo, but back on track.
Yeah, I was like,
my
let's not get.
fiance's
That's a
name-
different discussion.
Yeah.
Oh
Sorry.
my god. My
I'm-
fiance is at Wawa, and I'm sure like his ears are burning. Like, does someone say Brandon Sanderson? Like, just like I can feel it. I can. Feel
Oh, that's
We
what
can
we were
we can
talking
do
about.
book talk. We can do book
Oh,
talk
no,
later.
focus.
Definitely down for that. We can get book talk
Wait,
later. What
so,
if-
wait, Shannon, what did you say?
She said, it just
Nope.
clicked in my head. She said Sanderson sister. Focus. That's a no. We're gonna keep
Yeah.
on
On it,
this.
I just let it go.
Also,
Brianna, go ahead.
Also
I'm
great.
so
Also
sorry.
great.
Come
No,
on.
no need to
Really?
apologize.
Oh, we love you. No.
No need to apologize.
It's shush.
Hocus
Amazing.
Pocus is an amazing movie, and
Agreed.
It is.
Agreed.
Back on track. What are some moments, either in games that you've played or games that you've watched, listened to, that have been pretty emotionally impactful for you?
Well, I need
So,
a
David,
visual
you are
for
not
this.
allowed to mention the thing that has not been published yet.
Lips.
Okay.
It can
My
happen.
baby died.
Oh yeah, that must have been.
that was so hard, and like I kind of brought it on myself because I messaged Sean. I was like, if you need to kill Scarlet, I think I can handle it. I can't handle it. I can't handle it.
Spoilers.
I can't. Spoilers. Yeah, spoiler. I mean, I've not been quiet about it on Twitter at all. So
That's fair.
I also
But,
love that you
like-
just had her picture on reference, and you're like, "Well, let me
Always.
bring up my grief on
Always.
screen." And
Always. Yeah, it's like I put so much into her. Like she's the character I played the longest, and I just love her so much. And it has been confirmed on stream. So spoilers, close your ears if you don't want to know. She's not dead for good, which is good. She will be back, but she's gone through some shit. But she is my alter ego. She absolutely is my alter ego. Yes, 100%. So that was really emotional when she died. And actually, my current character that I'm playing, I played her for like maybe 3 weeks, and then we had really intense combat, and she died. Was revivified, but I was like, I'm still not over the trauma from this one. Oh my god. Like nope, it's good. She's back. Everybody's back. We're good. But like, yeah, I
I
That's
almost
it.
had one of my characters fall to her death, and it's just like, it looked like no one was going to be able to save her. She tried a couple things. I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this. Thankfully, she was saved, but it's just the moment of, oh no.
yeah.
Oh no.
Don't have my backup ready.
I don't make backup characters for specifically this reason because I don't need them.
Right.
Don't.
They will never die.
I'm like 95% sure my DM is going in between my DM and my dice rolls. She might die soon, so I'm like, I'll just work on my backup character that is also a healer dependent.
I can't.
Megan, I'll let you go
Go
first
first.
since Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nicola.
I can't talk about the one on Good Better Side Quest that made me cry because it hasn't come out yet, but I spent an entire episode crying. Just crying. And at the end, I was like, did you guys not notice I was sitting here crying the whole time? And they're like, yeah, no, we saw. But yeah.
Megan, I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say, so I'll let you go first because I have another story I can
Oh,
tell.
do you?
Oh.
I'll be shocked if you don't tell the story I think you're going to tell.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge. You're probably right. I mean, there's two. So I'll start with a very sad one, and then I'll go into a positive one. First one was at the end of campaign 1. Several. I mean, all right. It's been out for a while. Like, if y'all haven't listened to campaign 1, you're like,
Spoilers if you don't want to.
spoilers.
Yeah.
3 of the characters died. One of being my own. Ecstasy died. Well, Stacy died. She comes back in campaign 2. But that was very traumatic. But the one that got me the most was my fiance's character Anastasia died, and Patch's character had formed a good bond, and his character Tudak gave Anastasia her last rites, and like Patch just said this prayer and did the whole thing, and I was like, oh no, like I was okay. I had kind of like known that Stacy was going to die, like we had kind of discussed it, this is how we're going to close out campaign 1, but like I was not emotionally prepared for Anastasia's last rites. I absolutely teared up like on the table. I was just like, this is not. It was a lot. The other positive, the positive one that was like really good energy was in campaign 2 recently. We were fighting a lich, and my as you do,
Just
and
a casual Tuesday.
casual, and Ecstasy. It was her old house, her old summer house, and I go to Chris, the DM. I'm like, can I steal the lair from the lich? And he's like, roll for it. Make it a strength check. I got fucking nat 20 on that lich. And I'm like, I stole it. And I felt so. It was perfect for plot. It was perfect, like, for all the right moments to get that nat 20. I felt so. It was awesome. I'm sure that audio was cut of me like screaming, kicking my chair out, being like, "Yeah, I fucking did it!"
I don't remember.
Peeking the
That
mics.
was a great moment.
It was a really good moment because we were all screaming. We're like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah, those are the best moments.
It is.
That last episode of campaign 1 is a doozy.
It really is. So
Yeah,
I still haven't
understand.
re-listened to it because I was like, I'm not ready to like re-listen to that in the good feel. So, Chris, what do you
Oh,
have?
well, I was like, Brianna wants to say something.
I'm
One
sorry,
minor
Brianna.
injection. We have hit $288 right so far. We
Oh!
recently
Thank you so
thank you
much.
for that.
Hell yeah.
Keep
You're all
donating.
fantastic. Oh my
Holy
gosh.
cow.
Charity stream, please
Thanks,
donate.
so we can push it over the 300 mark.
As I say,
Yes.
also, Nicola,
Exclamation
if you
point.
happen to see a good question, send it to me.
Oh, I'm not
Yeah,
watching
if
the
there's any
chat,
good
but
questions.
okay. I don't have. They told
Like,
me
if anyone sees a good question they want to have asked.
That is awesome. Well done.
Yeah.
Chat.
Thanks, Kat.
Love you guys.
Me and Chris, when you guys were finishing up campaign 1, me and Chris were doing a lot of work on the crossover, the collaboration, the crossover event.
DM Chris, not me. Not me.
Yeah. DM Chris. He was kind of prepping me. He's like, get ready. He's like, it's a big one. I'm like, it's whatever. It's gonna be cool, whatever. I was driving up to my brother's house, which in Northern California, on Sunday, and I finished it right as Tales from the Tavern started. And Chris, like all y'all were on. Like it was like we just finished our campaign. Here's Tales from the Tavern. I jumped on chat. I'm like, how dare you! I'm driving right now, but I am gonna pull this car over. It was a doozy. But sorry, Chris, take it away. You were gonna say something.
Mine is a positive story. So this was many years ago. I was playing with the original group of people that I got into D&D with, and I created this character. I don't remember who he was. Or I think he was like a sorcerer or something. I don't remember. But I, for whatever reason, I actually rolled on that trinket table in the player's handbook because I was still new, so I did it. And I ended up getting like a mysterious egg. It was like a scaly egg.
Nice.
So I just I made that my character's fixation. So every single NPC you met, every single person we talked to, at some point he'd be like, "Do you know anything about this egg?" Asked every single person. And eventually we got to a point in the campaign where our DM actually made the egg hatch through some plot development stuff, and I ended up getting a baby dragon pet thing, and I was just like,
I love.
I was just like, oh my god, this is awesome. That was the first time I ever had a character moment where something impactful happened with my character that wasn't just part of the general plot.
Mm-hmm.
You're that one little side thing became a plot point, and that's very satisfying.
Yeah, it was very cool.
That's really cool.
I thought of a moment in my home game that just blew me off my feet. And it only happened a couple weeks ago. So one of my characters, I DM, and one of the players had to go through an emotional thing where their adoptive fathers turned out to be working with the BBG of the whole campaign. And there was a scene.
A little awkward.
Yeah, it is. But there was a scene in a restaurant where she was learning this and talking, and I was we have a very good, and we've done the whole consent thing, but I was being an asshole. That was the point, is that I was just being mean. And she lets out this monologue that I had to, at the end of it, I was like, I need a moment because I'm so proud of you, and that was so fucking good. And I almost started crying. I was so happy. I'm came into this moment, and I was like, everybody, I need a moment. Oh my gosh. Oh god.
Those are the best.
Oh god.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the best. I actually thought of another one too, but go ahead, Brianna.
I have one brief shout out to Vertrox Nightblood, who just donated $100.
Well,
Good person right now.
Oh my goodness.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Vertrox, who is also
Thank you.
one of my players in that campaign I was just talking about.
Guys.
Amazing.
Thank you.
If you have a question, Vertox, you please submit it.
Yes.
You definitely deserve a question.
I'm not going to answer any questions about your character.
So with Aboard the Opal Star, there have been just several moments where players have come together over stuff where I'm just y'all are about to make me cry. I had to look up one of them. I know it's out. It's around episode 17 when Anima finds out how Action Forged are made, and just her reaction to that. We had a side scene with an NPC that was just beautiful, but also the other two players, how they decided to help her through it. I was y'all about to make me cry. Because a big part of how Ashen Forged are made is it requires parts from a once living person.
Oh, wow.
In my world, it's kind of akin to organ donation. You decide yes, I want to be a donor.
Mm-hmm.
Also, she has recently discovered who her donor was, and that almost made both of us cry as well.
Yep.
It's she was asking right questions, rolled a nat 20. That's the only thing she will get a 20 on.
Oh, I love that.
But just sometimes my players take over, and I'm this is beautiful. I'll get to my stuff later. Keep going.
I love that when their players just do that. And
Right.
Just it's beautiful.
Yep. It's I love you guys.
We had a moment on Paradise where, surprise, it's about Scarlet. Surprise, it's nobody. But I had actually, it's kind of tied to the whole mental health thing that we were talking about. I had role-played a very real panic attack that I had 5 years ago, the one where I was looking at myself in the mirror saying, you can't do this. And it was the side note, it was really, really interesting and amazing that I was able to control those feelings when I couldn't 5 years ago. So it's possible. You can do it. But so she was role playing this panic attack and like, I can't do this. I'm not a chosen one. I'm not special. This isn't like, I don't know. It's not me. And then at the very end of that episode, her and Kieran, who's played by Stefan, they were having breakfast together at this tavern. And Scarlett has this magic item where it's a bracelet, and there's a magma snake that lives in it that she can summon and like use as like a grappling hook, or like it's so cool. Clayton made that. Clayton, you're amazing. It was a birthday present from Wiswick to Scarlett for her birthday. But the one flaw in that is that the snake, her name is Lily, has a sweet tooth, and no matter what, if there's something sweet around, like she's gonna go for it. I can't control her. Like, can't happen. So Kieran had ordered a cinnamon bun, and so as soon as it got delivered to the table, Lily comes down and was like, "Oh God, no! Stop! But so Kieran shoved the whole thing in his mouth so that Lily couldn't get to it, and then failed a Constitution saving throw and started choking. So then Scarlett ran around and gave him the fantasy Heimlich maneuver, and it was just like the very last line of that episode was, "Scarlett, you just saved my life." And it was just like such a validation from everything that she'd been feeling. Like, I'm not special. I can't do this. I'm not going to save the world or anything like that. And it was just like, it was the perfect way to end an episode. And like, Stefan, I love you.
Vertrox does have a question.
Oh.
Specifically for Nicola. Has anyone in your game ever been kidnapped by librarians before?
Wow, what an interesting and specific question.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he wants me to tell what happened to his character literally last Thursday. His character is a dwarf. I've already forgotten. A dwarf barbarian, and through some things, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but through some things, has fallen in love with these picture books that I, on a whim, added just as a funny thing. Anybody listens to NADPod, Ulfgar Goes Punch. I added them because the wizard was having to do some research and, just to occupy the character. Anyway, so they took out all these books from the library and never returned them. And it's been months. And so they... But
I can already see where this is going. I love it.
I'm so excited.
And I keep reminding them, are you like, is ever going to go turn in those books? No? Okay. But the wizard also had put all of the books under Baldbeard's name on the library card. So soon
as you do,
and Baldbeard left the place they were at that had some enchantments to protect it for reasons. Left that place to see if they could send a message or receive a message that they were trying to get, and the librarians came and captured them. And
amazing.
Hard bar.
Don't mess with librarians.
Yes, and so they took him to this place called the Book Exchange, which is an extra-dimensional pocket that all of the libraries are connected to so that they can transfer books around and they can hold books. And so everybody who doesn't turn in their books is taken to this space to be basically to work off their debt. And he's there, and he keeps everybody there's gone insane because it's also enchanted that I make up shit all the time. I don't know if this is a real thing, but it's enchanted so they don't need to eat or drink to sustain themselves, and they don't need to sleep. So it's just basically constant working, and almost everybody there has gone insane. And so
that's hilarious.
Fair.
But
as you do.
they didn't take any of his magic items that he had with him. So he had his sending stone, and the party calls him and is like, "Where are you?" And he starts to explain everything, and they're like, "Sucks for you."
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh boy.
And proceed to then like call all the NPCs, and we had this moment of just like them retelling the story. Like, they'll probably go get him, but he's like, "No, I'm gonna go. No, I don't need you now. I'm gonna form a riot, and we're gonna break out of this place." And everybody's like,
amazing.
"But they're just librarians. Why?" And I'm like, "You think they're librarians?" Oh my gosh, it was.
I'll
just,
show you.
It was just the fun. My stomach was hurting so bad. I was laughing so hard about everything that they, like, everybody's reactions to this. And then I got to play all of these random creatures that have gone insane from not sleeping for years. Yes. So
That's
anyways,
awesome.
That's fantastic.
I love the idea of like just Terminator style librarian cops. Like,
Oh, and they use
That
a
is
mace.
beautiful.
They're wizards, but they use a mace that I found, and I can't remember where I found it. A mace called Overdue Lesson that's basically a stick with books attached to it, and you use your intelligence modifier for it. And if the person you're hitting has an intelligence less than 12, then it does psychic damage. And like, so basically, they all walk around with these maces that are like canes, and then they just hit you with it.
bam!
And
Oh
love this
whole-
my
fucking
god!
That
So
is
good.
amazing.
I love that.
Are your librarians the BBEGs like in this
No.
campaign? Because
Nope.
Could be.
No,
Now.
this is just a random side effect of
it's just a-
them not returning their library books. It's just a random side, like
That's awesome.
it's,
They will
so great.
never not return them again.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, they probably
Incredible.
will. Like, they're probably just going to dismantle my entire, because it's a habit that they have of just dismantling my entire thing, and so
That's
they're
fair.
probably going to destroy this. Whatever.
That's fair.
As players,
Uh,
that kind of leads into another thing I wanted to talk about, which is our creative processes, because I know we have both DMs and players and both here. So, kind of looking at characters, because I've noticed that, like, your characters are usually a reflection of yourself in some way. So, how do you go about creating a character? Like, how do you see yourself in your characters?
Well, Apache nailed it on the head. Scarlet's my alter ego, so there's that.
I usually don't realize that my characters are a part of me until I finish creating them, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's that part of my mental illness. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yes. Scarlet is my anxiety walking around. That's exactly what she is. And I remember, like, I didn't intend her to be like that. It just happened, as it does when you play D&D. And I remember when I was making her, I knew I wanted to play a rogue. I knew I wanted to play an edgy rogue, even though that's the trope. I like that trope, and I was like, I'm going to be an edgy rogue, but I'm going to give her bright red hair because, you know, I liked the I don't know the word juxtaposition, the dichotomy of a sneaky person with bright red hair. I loved that. And then
Juxtaposition.
the what?
It's juxtaposition.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought it was. And then I started writing her story, and Sean and I do a lot of co-writing for all of my characters that we play together. So we were writing her story together, and it's grown so much since we started. And she's a part of me. Like she's also a manifestation of the confidence I wish I had, or that I'm working towards. And I do that in a lot of my D&D characters, is that, like, they're all confident, badass, like, tell it like it is, which is what, like, I want to have that same energy, and I'm working on it, but I'm not quite there yet. So, yeah, I love my girls. I love them so much.
Are doing pretty amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
So I'm terrible at starting to create a character because I never know where to begin. So more often than not, the beginning, the core essence of what my character starts out as is usually based off of like either like a movie or a TV show or like some random me, my song online about D&D. Tune in for the One Shot tonight. But once I get started, I can usually snowball from there and just be like, oh, what about this? And ideas start coming to me once I get that first part. So Kakal, my character in campaign 1, is very much just me turned up to 11. Like, that's literally all it is. It's just me being extra. He's pretty much just the comic relief.
Do you cook in real life?
I do. Not professionally, but I like cooking.
I've had his cooking. It's good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was gonna jump off sidetrack.
No,
never mind.
go
Forget
for
that.
it.
No. I was just gonna say he made apple pie for New Year's. It was from the D&D cookbook, the official D&D cookbook. It was very good. It was fantastic.
Apple and blackberry pie. Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Ooh.
blackberry. It was very delicious.
Homemade crust and everything.
Yes. Yeah.
You do.
And now I'm hungry. Thanks.
Coffee and pie. Oh, I made myself sad.
Someone
All
donates
right.
money,
me
I'll make a
too.
pie.
I'll send you. I'll mail. Chris will mail you a pie.
Exclamation point extra life. Donate to
Do it.
I will
Chris will
mail
make
you a pie. Ice cream and all. It's going to be a very soggy package that arrives.
Oh.
I at least for my creative process, when I build characters, I always try to pick one little thing I like, and then it usually just explodes into some crazy thing. For my very first D&D character that I made for the Dragon Heist, I was like, I want to be a cleric. And then suddenly she became this gross sewer rat character of a cleric. I was like, Grave Domain, cleric. Okay. And I didn't know diddly squat about clerics and spells and anything. And then everyone was like, you're picking a spellcaster for your first D&D character? I'm like, yes, this will be great. I learned. It was a good learning experience. And I'm a wizard sorcerer, and I'm still learning. I'm like, there's too many spells. It's even worse.
Magic is hard.
Yeah.
Magic is really hard.
Magic is really hard.
I
That's why
love
play melee
casters,
characters.
though.
Yeah,
I like being able to cast, because then you can have area of effect things when your dice will not let you hit anything. I played a paladin for over a year before I could hit anything
Oof.
at all. It was
I
very
need that
frustrating.
damage. Need it.
And then with Ecstasy or Stacy, Stacy was just we did, we rolled 3d6 and those in order, and those were our stats, and I just built this character because her intelligence was a 9.
It was not that high. There was no way it was that high.
I think it was an. All right,
It was at least an 8, maybe a 7.
It was because wargs were smarter than me. That was the discussion, and we looked up the intelligence of a warg, and it was a point smarter than Stacy. And I was like, all right. So then, of course, I start building. Well, why is she so dumb? Why is she just so And then she became actually, hey, she was an arch wizard in her heyday, and actually evil. And then it just came out. I'm like, oh, I just write empowered queer women. That's what I like to do, and that's the aspect of my life, being a queer person. I was like, that's not really a bad thing to encompass as well. So, but I've definitely been influenced by, artists. When I saw this one artist and they just drew a lot of tieflings, I'm like, well, I want to play a tiefling, and then web comics that I really like and other things, have definitely built certain aspects I want to embody. But usually I definitely, to follow up with Shannon, I like confident characters, who are not afraid to kick ass and stuff like that. And in real life, I'm an anxious, introverted person. And I was like, I would never.
Your Grave Domain cleric was definitely not queer, though.
No.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. That's okay. That's it. Not all of them have to be queer. It was just a one facet.
Hey,
I enjoyed her being a gross. Huh?
You learned what thaumaturgy does.
Stop it. We're not going into this.
No, we don't. We won't.
I just looked up warg stat blocks. They have an intelligence of 7. So I think you had a 6.
Oh.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, because
my God,
yes,
I
it was
love
because when I kind of came back, my intelligence tripled. Yes, I was a 6.
Amazing.
Stacy was a 6, and now she's an
Wow.
18
That
intelligence.
is purely
Yeah, my
delightful.
barbarian's intelligence is about that. I really like playing low intelligence characters though, because
It's
you
fun.
don't have to play them like dumb per se. Like
No.
I play it as she's naive and innocent and doesn't have a lot of sense, you know. So like there's just so many. I love using is totally off topic, but using your stats to influence your personality. That's I'll break here. I can connect it. That's definitely part of my creative process. I look at
that is. It's a creative process question, so it's kind of off on topic. I just figured that would be good. Yeah.
I also really like to listen to music. I've made playlists for my girls, and I listen to that when I'm putting on makeup or putting on the costume, which is another part. I need to fully embody my character. That's
Method
when my
actor.
best roleplay comes.
Actress.
100%.
Oh yeah.
I like to play characters that are druids, but also
Don't say.
Really?
I sometimes fall
And
into the
short.
mom trope, where I'm like the party's caregiver, but then also I just do things to be as chaotic or crazy as possible. Like I actually joined a game that David's in, and the DM told me, like, okay, here's all the other characters: a yeti, a bugbear, and a giant. And I was like, I'm gonna be a pseudo dragon, and I'm gonna be the tiniest little thing in the world. And I am to all of these super, super tall characters. I am a 21-inch pseudo dragon.
Wow.
And you're the mama. I love it.
We almost squished her when we first saw her.
Yeah, and they attacked me when they first met me. So it's fine. It's fine. For reasons, I'm now 22 inches. But and then I play another one that is just pure entire chaos. That literally the more chaos, the better, because I just want to cause trouble, and that's it.
Let chaos reign.
I want to hear from David being the DM in this
Yes.
chat.
Yeah.
One of
I've
them,
been
anyway.
trying to rack my brains, actually. I think I definitely listen to music a lot when I'm creating characters, but I think part of it for me is, aside from like the characters I know are going to be like a part of the story, like, oh, this is a boss that's coming up, or this is the bad guy, or whoever, or this is like someone super important to someone else's backstory. Like, for creating NPCs and people my players are going to interact with, I think it just sort of, if the story dictates it, like, so for example, right now we are in the heavens. We're up doing some holy paladin stuff up in the heavens, and as I was writing the story, I was like, okay, this is kind of lame. I feel like I need someone or something for the characters to interact with, and then because they sort of needed like a guide, not even really like a guide, just sort of like a foil to one of the other main characters in this section, I created this character called Damascus, and she's this like broken. I like her a lot. She's very.
Amazing.
Oh, thank you. She's super
He
fun.
needs just so much love. If you kill her, I will not forgive you.
Don't listen to the next episode.
Oh no.
Just kidding.
What did you do?
Actually, okay,
My
just a
heart.
little behind the scenes. I was trying very hard to remove her from my game. I was like, gotta do it. But I love her. But Christian, in all of his chaos and just the fact that he can remember all of his magic items, he's like, by the way, I'm gonna do this thing, and just I was telling them while we were recording, I was like, there's 6 more pages of notes that I have to read through for this. And Christian did a thing, and I like literally just highlighted and like deleted them. I'm like, all right, we're going off the rails here, boys. What do you got?
Oh, I love it.
But
Well, why do you think my session notes are usually like 2 or 3 bullet points?
it's
Then me writing down whatever they throw at me.
it is chaos. But I mean, that's part of the fun of it. So I think my process is just like, I'm trying to write this story first and trying to figure out what my players are going to do. And if I'm like, I think they're going to need someone to tell them this thing, or I think they're going to need someone to act this way around this certain thing, it sort of spawns characters. And yeah, I know that was kind of a lame answer, but it just sort of like I've done the whole characters like based off of movies, and like I'm like, I want to play a fire Genasi, or I want to play a goblin or whatever. But it just sort of for me, it has to be story based and like story focused. So I can have whatever character fit into whatever situation, as long as it like plays to the story, or it will like help my players realize their stories. I think that is a more concise way to say it earlier.
Love it.
Also, David plays a hilarious edgelord bugbear.
He's very fun. I feel like Droll and Scarlet would be friends.
Yeah.
He's very big. He's literally just a big teddy bear.
Oh man. Well, I don't know then.
Well,
It's not.
on the outside, he is not. He presents very grim and dark and grisly.
All right.
But on the inside, he's totally fine.
Well, we're gonna have a crossover and have the two of them meet.
It'd be very fun. We should talk to Dev about that. What
Let's
up,
do
Dev?
that. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I was about to say, then we could have my Scarlet, who I've recently renamed to Ray and Risa, because it's a prettier name and it sounds a lot less like I'm trying to rip off your character. Because she's also an arcane trickster, or trickster cleric, depending on what's needed. So she's the
cool.
first character I ever play, but I feel like if you look at all of my characters, they, like, a lot of them, they come from nothing. It's like either come from nothing and decide to like make a name for themselves, or it's a lot of, it's not where you come from, it's what you decide that matters. That is a big theme I noticed that shows up, especially, well, David knows some of the super secret behind the scenes stuff at Aboard the Opal Star, that definitely shows up, and like it's not where you come from, it's what you decide to do that defines who you are. As a believer in that.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That plot point a lot. That's a good one to kind of feel like, it's about the actions you take.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that's kind of one of the things I like about TTRPGs is like we all come up with these amazing backstories and these crazy, interesting, intricate plots, but like that's just fuel. Like the real story happens like when we're playing the game and like we're making the choices. Like you can be like, I was an ultra evil lord who ruled over this domain, but then like in the game you're like, but I'm trying to be better and I want to like help everyone I can. And they just it's not about where we've come from, it's literally about what we do in the moment. That's challenging.
I was say my character in Disciples of the Eight Rome, she served the evil Lich King that we're trying to kill for 200 years, hunting, exposing, and killing dissidents. She was one of his basically top assassins and spies until one day it's like she realized she could be more, and there was also attack on the compound and everyone thought she died there. But like when she woke up in the temple after the rebels got her out, because like she was kind of one, she was going to take him out, but she never got to him, and when he saw her, he said, get her out, she's with us, and then he went back in to get someone else. No one ever saw him again. I don't even know if he's alive or not. It was just stressing me out. I'm like, if the king got to him, I don't want to know what he did, but it's like when she woke up and realized what happened, they asked her name. She gave them the name Arome, and has never spoken the other name again, and now she is a paladin trying to kill the king because she just wants redemption. She wants a chance to make up for all that she's done and give the world a better chance.
I love stories like
That's
that.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
It also leads to a lot of people wanting to kill her, and at one point, like, we were sitting in a tavern talking to someone about, like, hey, can you help, like, can we run a boat through you? And she's like, I like these people, so, like, she took out a piece of paper and started writing notes for things to look out for if the hunters were still watching them, because they recently lost someone to a hunter. And he looked over and just said, so it looks like you didn't die in that fire, and I just had the moment of, oh no.
I love that.
Ooh, the
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so the ship captains we travel with know exactly who she is and what she's done. Tried to kill her, nearly succeeded, and now we're friends. And there was actually a really cool moment where, like, she still had her executioner sword. And so when she went to talk to him, she gave him her old sword and said, the person you were trying to kill did die that day, and you can take this as a trophy.
Oh, wow. Oh, man, that's epic. Holy cow.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I love that.
That didn't get recorded, though.
Oh, no.
OBS just, we were trying to figure out recording solutions, and it did not work.
Oh,
We
no.
just ended up using Craig, and then Craig started misbehaving, so we started using Zencaster, and yeah.
The pain of losing. Sorry, go for it, Nicola.
Meg, is everything okay?
Can you guys hear me?
I
Yes.
can hear you, but can't see you.
I don't know why suddenly Discord's like, we have a new audio device detected. Do you want to switch? And I'm like, no. And it keeps popping up, and I'm like, I do not want to switch. So,
Are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to switch it?
Maybe no.
Yeah.
How about now?
I know.
The worst.
Sure.
Definitely can still hear you, though, yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to jump back on the creative process because I thought of something when David mentioned that the backstory is just fuel. That is my so when I come up with a character's backstory, the first goal is to obviously like explain their personality and like why they're at the current point in time. But my other main goal for when I create my character's backstory is giving the DM stuff to work with. Like both with Kakal and my current character Rimpy, there is built-in plenty of content for Chris to tap into should he ever want to, and he's planning on doing a little bit with some of my characters coming up. He's let me know ahead of time. So yeah, I purposely make that because as you know, as a DM, I would want that. So I definitely try to bake that into my
So
character's
much fun
backstory.
It is a lot of fun to
is
have
a
that
gift.
and find ways to pull that in because I've been having a lot of fun with that because like I said, I've got one player who the character can't remember anything beyond 4 years ago, and she doesn't know what happened to cause her to lose her memories. A lot of started coming back, but like I have control over that. I've been working with her on some things because like I want you to like your character, so I'm like I want that to stay like who she is yours. Certain things that happen are mine, and I apologize. But there are some there's another character who some very important people to her disappeared a really long time ago, and I've told her like you will find out like there will be an answer to what happened. She also had a moment where she's like, I feel like this terrible thing happened. I'm like, I'm just gonna go ahead and let you know now. If your character can still expect that. I'm not gonna do that to you. She thought her people had been willingly turned into Ashen Forged. And like, no. I won't do that, no.
There is nothing quite like the gift, like as a DM, like of a character being like, you get the backstory, the pages, or whatever, and like you can tell like the sentence, like, and then my father met his dark and mysterious friend who I will not name. It's like as a DM, you're just like, oh yes, yes, give me more of that. I will add all of this into the story.
Yeah.
We call that
like when they're
we call that cookies, DM cookies, and like all of my players in my home game have given me DM cookies. One of them has amnesia for like 2 months, and one of them's parents died, but they don't know why, and I'm like, yes.
Love those.
Yeah, it's fun. One of my players just casually had his character drop that her dad is basically the director of the FBI, essentially, and I'm like, other things you said around there are just gonna have some real fun consequences, but also now I have a fun way to feed you certain pieces of information.
If those are DM cookies, Megan, what you did with Stacy was like a DM pie.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was gonna jump in and just say, like, I definitely have noticed, like, with content creating and doing it, like, through role playing with a group, that has absolutely changed how I built a character, as opposed to just me sitting off in a corner being like, I have this epic backstory, and bringing that into, you know, a group environment has absolutely changed and built, you know, all my characters, which is wonderful. Like, I think there is something, you know, it's kind of like brainstorming and editing with a group, you know, like you get all this feedback and you kind of change things and make it work for this world that you are building together. But yeah, when for Stacy, when we decided to make this into like a longer campaign, I was like, here, I have like this basic backstory that she was kind of evil. Here, I'll let you just like go with it. And DM Chris was like, what? Like, okay. He was fine with it. And then I was like, hey, can I throw in some characters? I built them and you can use them how you like. And he's like, okay. He's like, that's fine. And it's we were discussing this a couple weeks ago, like with Discount Dungeons, like, Ecstasy has become like kind of built campaign too, that's a little weird. Like she was one of the big linchpins in like starting this new campaign. And I'm like, I don't know how to be you know, I don't know how to handle this responsibility and keeping a story going and stuff like that. But I very much enjoy like the fact that like where this character has gone, and it's all because of, you know, being in a group. And I definitely, like, Ecstasy would have been a very different character had I just like built it in like by myself and just thrown it into a campaign, as opposed to like workshopping it with everyone. So definitely a D&D pie. Like, that is like
that's a buffet. What are you talking about? That's not pie.
All right, fair enough.
Goddamn buffet.
And he's thrown me some Chris has thrown me some curveballs, and I'm like, I love this. This is great.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say the quintessential part of that was campaign 1 when Stacy finds out she has a son, and she's like, "I have a son."
I have a son.
She didn't know.
Legitimately, me, the player, I'm like, oh, I
What?
have a kid? What? And then he's like, yeah, your wife. And I'm like, my wife? I have a wife? And no joke, I gave him this character. I was like, oh yeah, she's, you know, was Ecstasy's right-hand lady. She's a badass. And I was describing all this stuff, and Chris is like, that sounds like they're married, but Chris was like, oh, maybe Megan doesn't want to put this responsibility of me, like, role-playing as, like, a romantic partner. And then I was like, I'm just so in the closet, I don't realize that I just gave you, like, here, give me this wife. Because once he was like, no, she's your wife, I'm like, this is great. And this is all I've ever wanted. Perfect.
What you did with Stacy and what you're doing with Ecstasy is it's phenomenal. It's so good.
I may have borrowed inspiration from how Chris pulled some of the stuff that he did. Like, I have a what?
I have a what? I love what we're doing with campaign 2, and like how like all the characters have come together for this, and like I love Rimpy, like and his.
Oh my god.
I love like
Fancy.
I love the flow of this one. Like, you know, we were still figuring out things for campaign 1, but I feel like in campaign 2 we were like, okay, we have a better idea. We're still learning, but like the pieces seem to be fitting better, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, the characters weren't made for a one-shot.
Oh my goodness. Rest in peace, Soft Hope. I still think of it. Patch's character. He built this god-awful character for the one-shot that initially Kaka and Stacy were a part of, and his build was so garbagey. Patch was like, we're not doing this. He's rest in peace, Soft Hope. Oh. He was a Minotaur with garbage stats.
Oh no.
Bad. Because we did the
3d6 came in order.
in a row, and he rolled bad.
That sounds like something that would happen to me.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect example of a creative process that, you know, like a character that's, yep, we're going to put that in the dumpster and never talk about it. Or like, a good idea. I'm sorry, Nicola. I didn't, Nicola.
We have just under 15 minutes, and we are $12 from hitting 400. So
400.
Bro, we can do it.
exclamation point extra
Do
life
it,
or
people.
exclamation point charity $12. Can we do it by the end of the stream?
400?
Let's do it. Make me look good, please.
Penelope wants
That's
you
what
to.
I love about my
Penelope?
players is like they make me look really good.
Exactly. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, thank you. Penelope wants you to.
Come on.
Wants the $12.
You can't disappoint the kitty.
Yeah, don't
Penelope
disappoint
Grace
Penelope.
wishes. And
$20 and I will mail you a pie. I have an ice pack and everything. I'll keep it cold.
I want a pie.
I'm just
I'll
like,
do a
I have to play
drawing.
cookies.
I will do a drawing. I'll do a quick drawing for someone, whoever donates. Like,
draw a pie.
if the first one to hit that $400, a very simple drawing. No portrait. no
Of a pie.
Sistine Chapels of a pie. I will draw you a pie. Yes, I will. I will draw you a pie.
I'm sitting here like I feel like we covered all like the 4 questions I wrote down. Yet that's how I prep.
Those are good questions, by the
Yeah,
way.
those are
They were
good questions,
and they lasted us. I mean, like, we're only 15 minutes away. That's pretty good. It wasn't like, hey, we're only 15 minutes in, and what are we going to talk
Wow,
about?
we've already reached question 3.
Oh.
Oh, no.
We got some donations rolling in.
Is there anything any of y'all want to know?
Oh, we did it!
Yay!
We're at
400.
412.01.
Yes.
Thank you for
Beautiful
spending.
Those
people.
baking materials ready. Start shipping.
No, I
out
said
pies, my
$20. Look, the pie is well worth it, but man, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. And you made the crust from scratch. Like, that also,
Yeah.
like, I
No,
would
it
just
literally
want
took me like half a day to make this pie.
Yeah.
Love it.
I actually
Wait,
have a fun question. What are some of your favorite hobbies to give your characters?
Oh, wow.
Little things they do on the side.
Gambling.
Gambling's-
Not good in real life, but in a game, it's a lot of fun.
For
They make money too.
my Dragon Heist character, her hobby was gazer eyeballs. We ran into like gazer eyeballs, and I was like, I want to take one. And DM Chris was like, why? And I'm like, because I can. And then I was able to pickle them. I threw them. We found some like really bad alcohol, and I was like, I want to put the eyeball in there. And he's like, okay, roll for it. And I'm like, yes.
I love moments like that where like the players are like,
man.
I want to do this very small thing, but it is
Yep.
important to me, DM.
Yep.
Let me do this thing.
100%.
And Chris
Alex
being-
is, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm
Alex's
sorry.
thing- No, it's fine. Alex's thing is to befriend animals. So
Yes.
he just like in our home game, he's befriended a griffin that will never die now, and he's gonna learn the mount feat so he can have a griffin forever. He also befriended some pufferfish. That is a long story that I will be happy to tell at some point because it's hilarious. And then on stream, he just befriended a whole bunch of like beastland weasels, and so now we have weasels in the party. So it's
Every
great.
party needs a weasel.
Everybody needs weasels.
Big shout out to Dev Make. Thanks for bringing us to $432. You rock.
Yay!
Oh, did you hit that? Was that the
Dev,
12? Was that 20?
Dev, you can DM me either here or on Twitter or whatever, and we'll figure out the pie
Excellent.
You're
details.
gonna do it! Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's
I'm
amazing.
not
I think
gonna
the
not
one that
do it.
took
I
us
said I
over
would
was
do it.
I love
anonymous.
Yeah.
I think the one that took us over 400 was anonymous.
But Dev also
I will-
did it, so.
We'll still draw a pie and post
Yeah.
it on Twitter later. I promise that.
Shameless
Yes.
shout out. Dev's an amazing,
amazing.
artist. You should follow him on Twitter at Dev Makes Things.
Dev is an amazing.
My DM for like 4 of my characters.
He's amazing. Sorry, Shannon, were you saying something? I feel like we cut you
Go
off
ahead.
there.
No worries. Scarlett's hobby is calligraphy. So she
Ooh,
does
that's very
calligraphy.
nice.
Yep, I liked the juxtaposition idea. She's this really temperamental person who has beautiful handwriting. I don't know I just like that about that. She also is a smith. She can forge things, which is cool. That's the anvil. And then Katya, my current character that I am playing, is a drunk. She likes to drink.
Yes.
That's her hobby. And bar fights. She loves bar fights.
Thanks to Alyssa for the 25.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Y'all make
Oh,
it
wow.
real good.
Oh,
Wow.
apparently it was Skizix that was the 1201, and he wants that pie picture. That's Sean in Discount Dungeons.
Yeah.
Sean, I will send you that pie drawing.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
I love that.
There was one of my first characters I ever like seriously played. He was a half orc fighter named Dim Tanks.
I
He
love
was
that
just
name.
The
That's
the biggest, like squishiest boy, and I loved him dearly. And in the very first episode, there was like, or the first session we played, the DM, which was actually Goodval, who plays in From Afar. We were like stuck in this burning building, or outside this burning building, and like a bunch of horses like ran out, and they were gonna like trample us. And like I was like, no, they're not. And I like ran out there, and like I think I got like a nat 20 on like animal handling check, and I like stopped all these horses and like calmed them all down. And then after that, Dim, he can't ride him; he's too big, but he just really takes care of horses whenever he gets a chance. So that's the only like hobby I can think
love
of.
it.
He has like it's like pony petting zoos for him. Like that.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh my god. I love it. I love it.
For me, Ecstasy is mostly very into fashion and very like ornate clothing and stuff, which is just me. I dress like a bum. Like I think if I could live my life in tank tops and leggings, no bra, I would just roll around constantly.
Yup.
On the rare occasions when I want to dress up, I do, but I think my natural state is tank top legging mode. So I channel that into the opposite with Ecstasy. Like she would have a whole closet, and this gives me an opportunity to research like fashion, and I just get to dump all my drawing ideas. I do have like a picture of her wife that is just like a flat template, and I've drawn like several layers of different outfits that I switch between just because I'm like,
cool.
what does she look like in this?
So
all right,
cool.
let's just keep drawing.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Rome likes to draw. She draws people she's killed to like basically like remember them, but also she's just sometimes just like draw scenic views. And we've had some characters disappear because the players had to bow out, so she's been drawing them a lot. And also my street rat druid loves poetry.
Ooh.
Just like collects poetry books where she can, because she was born noble, but she basically grew up on the streets, and depending on what level I'm playing her at, doesn't realize she's a druid. She can just do these things. Which my first time playing her had a lot of the party really confused as to what kind of caster she was, and she's just like making plants go. She's like, I don't know, maybe I am a sorcerer. There was one time I turned into a bear though. That was weird.
That's awesome.
It's a wild magic sorcerer.
She's adorable. She's ditzy. She found someone passed out in the middle of the woods, and first reaction was to find like, hey, are you okay? Thankfully, the half-damn here was not hungry. But that didn't go poorly. That's how she met the party.
I don't think that I give my characters hobbies, and now that I think about it, I'm trying really hard. And the one character I played for the longest, eventually at some point in the campaign, we became pirates and got a pirate ship, and
Excellent.
she is a Fearbolg druid, and we ended up rigging up a like way that in shark form she could be attached to the boat, because the boat goes a lot faster than a shark. And so any downtime, because at that point we're level like 14, and so I could stay in wild shape for 7 hours, and they're like, what are you doing today? I'm like, swimming as a shark behind the boat, just attached with the rope, and then just like pulled me.
That's amazing.
Ski jet shark mode, you know.
Yes.
Oh my God, I love that.
Beautiful.
Druids are so much fun.
They are. I love them so much. But yeah, I really need to start giving my characters hobbies. They work too much.
Yeah, I don't
familiar.
often give my characters hobbies, but in the first campaign, just naturally, Kakal just became like started to like wanted to be a chef just because he like met an NPC that could like make like food. It wasn't even good food, but because of his like background, he was just like salted pork. This is amazing. How do I make this?
I loved that growth for Kakal. Like when he realized like cooking is fun, and I want to like, and all the shenanigans that brought with it. Like that was such a fun aspect of Kakal to explore.
And then my new character Rimpy, it hasn't come out yet, but he's into golf.
I can't wait for people to listen to that because how we came to terms with like just that.
Well, unfortunately,
hobby.
because we had to re-record it, the magic of how he came to like golf is kind of lost, but it's still there.
It's still there.
Man,
It was good. It was good stuff.
Man. Well, that just means you're gonna have one extra giant bag you're gonna have to carry around with all your luggage.
That's right. That's right.
Magic golf clubs. I love it.
Bag of holding, only golf clubs.
No, I'm saying my character needs a bag of holding so bad. It's not even funny.
Mhm.
Okay, so since we only have a few minutes, let's go back around and tell people where they can find you.
Right on.
So we've got like 3 minutes, and might take us that long with how distracted we get.
Very distracted. I'll try and be succinct this time. Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm from Paradise RPG. You can find me on all socials at sruby25. I am also our community manager for Paradise, so I'm usually the author behind Paradise's Twitter account. Come join us in Paradise. We would love to have you, especially for our Jasper's Game Day weekend in a couple of weeks. It's going to be great. Can't wait to share who's playing in it, because, oh my god!
That's gonna be great.
Who's next?
David, go!
Oh,
David,
me.
go.
I was thinking about Jasper's Game Day. It's going to be a blast. Hi, everybody. I'm David. I'm the Dungeon Master for From Afar Podcast. We are a D&D actual 5e actual play podcast. I say it wrong every single time. We are 4 friends who don't know how to sail, and we're trying to find the lost city of Atlantis. You should check us out on social medias at From Afar Podcast on everything, and myself, David Tilstra, at David Tilstra on everything too. So yeah, come hang out with us. We have Discords and all sorts of shenanigans we're up to, so see you around.
Yeah, and I'm Chris. I play Rimpy on Discount Dungeons. We are in our campaign 2, so feel free to come on in. It is a evil campaign, but we keep it fun, and it's still a good time.
So good.
Yeah,
Great tagline.
you can find our podcast on Twitter at discount_D&D. We have Patreon, Discord, all that fun stuff. Episodes come out every other Wednesday. And Dev makes things. DM me on Twitter if you want a pie. You can find me at RedShoeDude_. And Brianna, you go.
Me?
I'm
Okay.
Brianna. You can find me at Brianna Jeans on Twitter, because that's easier than trying to spell my last name. You can find all of my podcast stuff at Pseudonym Social. I'm DM aboard the Opal Star. I play and produce Disciples of the Eight. So we've got the epic space opera and then the epic fantasy, where it's interesting. We're trying to stop Lich from becoming a god, so that's fun. Other stuff coming in the future. I do some freelance editing. I do far too many things, probably. It's fine. I'm a caffeine addict. It's fine. I also do have a Patreon, so please give me money.
Yes.
So I can hire someone else to help me do stuff.
I'll go. I am Megan or Nebby. My Twitter handle is nebulous_lalo. I am also part of Discount Dungeons with Chris. I do art on the side. Check out our merch store, Discount Dungeons Threadless, our Patreon. And yeah, thank you guys. This has been fun.
And I am Nikolai. Find me on Twitter at Nekla the Druid. You can find the podcast Backwater Bastards, where I'm the marketing coordinator at BW Bastards. We're in our second campaign, Orbital Refuse, playing a homebrew game that our DM, Dick Dynamite, has created called Orbital Refuse. You can also find me at Good Better Side Quest, an interlude. There's only a couple episodes left, so you can get caught up before they go back to season 3 of the Good Better Quest. And you can find me as the producer of the Snova Project, an audio drama that will be coming out in a couple months. Also, the final I'm looking at it on my phone. We're at $457 and a penny.
Oh my god.
And a penny.
Yeah, and a penny. That's very
Thank you,
important.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you so much, chat. Thank you.
I hope
Yes,
we get
y'all are amazing.
$1,000 and 1 penny over this
Yes.
entire thing.
Yes, yes,
And we'll know
Yes,
Sean.
yes. Yep. So that's me.
Thank you guys.
Amazing.
You're
Yeah.
all fantastic. Thank you so much.
Love you
I
all.
forgot I'm the
Love
one doing
you.
it. I have to end the stream.
Yeah, you
For the next,
Thank you, Jack. Hey,
thing.
what's next? What's next? Yeah, what's
I
next?
don't know.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Remember,
It's
Ah!
the live
PlayStation
stream, or it's-
shenanigans.
Is it
Aether and Steamworks
Aether
one
and
shot
Steamworks.
in about an
Aether
hour.
and Steamworks one shot.
so good.
in 1 hour. Oh my gosh, I cannot
go
wait.
check it out.
Go check it out. Don't forget to donate.
Yeah.
Exclamation
Woo.
point. Extra
Some of us will be
life.
back tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern
Yes.
Yeah.
for another game.
most of us will be on that.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
gonna be so fun.
seriously.
I will
Literally.
be taking a nap.
So,
and then
If you're
don't
watching
forget-
stuff all day, don't forget to eat food, drink water,
Mhm.
walk
Exactly.
around some.
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
Thanks,
Yes.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye.